How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting, and welcome back to Mamiya, I guess, part 3? Doomsday Dreams? Yeah. So, we're trying to figure out how the tangled mess of combining the two times when the world is supposed to end, and how we might be able to convolutedly rewrite the story to prevent... Basically, there were two outcomes. There's the outcome where everyone dies and the illusion of Mamiya continues, or there was when Natsumi interfered directly, replaced Mamiya and stopped Mamiya, but replaced them with himself, leading to very similar endings and potentially a rebirth of a new type of entity that was just in his image. So he's gone back and he's trying to rewrite it all, but he's tangled things up. Namely, we're saying that Ryou's story and Ryou and Suo's story are like smushing and colliding, and they're really intricately tied because Ryou technically kills Suo in 2003, and then in the future, Suo, when he gets somehow yanked forward to 2012, kills Ryou in his dream state. And it's just very confusing. So we're going to go and see what we can learn from Ryou's perspective of the storyline and seeing that. And as I'm thinking is happening is that we're slowly going to be putting together the information we're going to need after reading the 4 stories to pursue a new ending. That's similar to what happened in the previous parts. It's just been a while, but it's starting to kind of come back to me. And so, yeah, we're mostly going to be seeing the same story we just finished, but from a different perspective and learning new tidbits of information. So, yeah, let's just jump right in. Zero 02, Tin Toy. Upon coming back home and going to sleep, Ryou had a dream of an unfamiliar house. He was in a dark room with still air and only a small amount of light coming through a window. In there, he was trying his best to move his arms. As he wiped his sweat with his tiny hand, a bigger and unfamiliar hand touched his. The large hand wriggled as if crawling. Oh, how foolish. Unfamiliar particles flowed from where he was touched. How foolish and pitiable you are, Ryou. Ryou began to tremble but couldn't resist. He wiped sweat from his he wiped his sweat and evened out his breathing. He bit into his lip, which kept on quivering for a while. The classroom froze the moment he entered, but he was already used to that. Kikuchi Ryou, you heard about how the cops came to look for him after school the other day? Seriously? I guess it won't be long until he's in reform school, huh? He was also used to overhearing conversations that his sensitive ears picked up on as he passed by. He could turn around and talk back, but he knew by now that would be pointless. And so he continued to pretend not to hear any of it. It's not like I want to do this, he thought. Letting his intense emotions take control, he let the boiling sensation flow free. His overflowing magma erupted, prompting him to take action. He couldn't stop his arms from punching people. The arm he threw crashed into the man's side. The man groaned before putting his own arm behind him. The next moment, intense pain coursed through Ryou's whole body. Turned out the man had a stun gun hidden on him. Drained of all his strength, Ryou collapsed on the ground. You're not as tough as I heard, Kikuchi Ryou. The man's foot came down on him. He was crushing him with his leg as if putting out a cigarette. Ow, I just bit my own tongue. Ryou was on the verge of losing consciousness. But then a large and fearsome hand floated back to his mind. Listen. You are weak and unfit for society. You'll never be able to reach an understanding with others through words. The only type of communication you can manage is a simple one. It's a very primal method indeed. Ryou poured strength into his arms as if doing a push-up, then raised his head with the man's foot still on it. Oh, what? You're still conscious? Watch. Ryou got up with force, throwing the man's leg into the air, and grabbed and threw it before it landed. When the man was on his back, Ryou stomped on his stomach, then straddled him, and began pummeling his forehead. How intriguing. He pounded. Oh, you shouldn't look away. He punched. Look at this. Look and remember. Words are utterly powerless against violence. The next moment, Ryou found himself standing. He was on a hill overlooking the area with dark clouds gathering above. Around him, there were countless unconscious men. I did it again. He hesitantly looked at his fists. Covered in the blood of multiple people, including his own, they had an unnatural color and were trembling intensely. I don't know this, he thought. I don't know this. This is... As he stood in place, shocked, the man moaned. Help me. It was the faint call for help from the man he didn't know. Ah! The voice was so much like his own that Ryou couldn't help but run off. Why? It makes me hate myself so much, he thought. This is so terrifying, and yet, why does it make me feel so alive? He took off his shoes without so much of a hello. Welcome back. Oh, Midori, hi. Her familiar smile made him feel as if his sin was being cleansed. That's odd. You're not watching the educational program you usually do. Yeah. It was a continuation of a documentary he'd seen before. It showed a young boy who'd messed up and was covered in mud, and his father who was hugging him and reassuring him. Ryou felt like he was grabbed by the heart. Unconsciously, he opened his eyes and tried to take in as much information as he could. Dad! You did fine. You did your best. The boy, within the father's arms, was crying, while the father's face was red as he did his best to keep himself from crying as well. The father was embracing the boy with his strong arms, praising his efforts. It was a tearjerker of a documentary with plenty of touching moments. What was this? Ryou thought. I don't understand. His brain was doing its best not to process and understand it. But then, Midori said something that pushed him over the edge. Must be nice. I want Mommy to hug me too. Hey, Midori, he thought. You have me, don't you? I'll be like a father to you, more reliable than Mom ever could be. I'll protect and raise you. But what about me? Yeah, that's the burden oftentimes in really bad situations and bad households. The eldest children tend to become the parents. It kind of sucks because it forces them to really grow up fast, taking on responsibility that's well beyond what they should be doing or having to be, worried about, and just really robs them of the joy and pleasure of being a kid and being able to have fun. It really sucks. Who will raise me? Sound of destruction filled the small room. Ryou threw the TV to the floor. Why? Why did you break it? He could barely hear anything. He couldn't control his body well. There was a sound of someone opening the front door, but he was unable to react. What are you doing? This couldn't get any worse, he thought. Ryou, what's going on? He had to clean up the room and keep this woman in a good mood. But all they could move now were the things related to a major question. Hey, you. Huh? Hey. There was a feeling deep within his heart he'd tried all these years to ignore. Why? Ryou, speak up. Something forbidden, sealed deep away and conveniently out of sight. A feeling that had now grown so big it broke its container and overflowed. Where's my father? Stop talking. Where's my father? Shut that mouth and clean this up. Huh? Did you just punch me? You did, didn't you? Hey, stop! Why? The feelings, the question, the sadness. They all became fists overflowing without anything to hold them back. Answer me. He didn't stop. He didn't get it. He didn't want to think about it. My father. I'm filth anyway, he thought. Words are utterly powerless against violence. Where's my father? A broken TV. Midori, so tired from shouting that she'd fainted, repeating impact sounds. The tiny living room was messier than ever before and reeked of gloom. Darn you, Mamiya. You're the one who said you're his dad. Weren't you going to protect him? Tell me, Mamiya. No, Arisugawa Osama? Osamu? I poured strength into my fist. Why aren't you showing yourself to him, and not as an illusion either? I can't save him, so... Stop. A third party suddenly grabbed Ryou by the shoulder. The holder was strong, so he couldn't shake it off. He turned around. She's not worth killing, trust me. Though, if you really want her dead, I can do the job for you. Why? Why now, of all times? Arasugata Osamu tightly embraced Kikuchi Ryou's filth-covered body. Ryou, I'm sorry it took so long. Those arms, larger than Ryou's own, filled him with a sense of relief. The tears came just as his voice began to crack. You did fine. It was like a scene from the documentary. This is what I wanted, Ryou thought. Osamu. Scattered garbage everywhere. His younger sister convulsing from the shock. Bloodstains on the floor. His mother now silent. You did your best, Ryou. I'd wanted this for so long, he thought again. So he just pops right back in? That's just it? That's how that happened? He just pops in and just kind of came to the rescue? Papa Oates? I don't know if I'm saying that right. You'll be treated as like a special case. You should be glad. You're just abusing your authority, aren't you? After what happened, Ryou did the smart thing and allowed Samejima Satoru to take him before the police got involved. Officially, Ryou was now under Samejima's supervision and observe him he did. You know some difficult terms. I'm impressed. What is this place? One of the rooms I have. Feel free to use it as you see fit. Don't worry, if you're dirty the walls, I'll call a cleaner. Why would you lock me up in here personally? What are you after? I won't tell you until you remember it by yourself. You said something similar last time. Here we actually met in the past? Have we actually met in the past? Who knows? Maybe you'll realize something while living here. Wait, where's Midori? What happened to her? Don't worry. She's currently being kept in a special facility. Your mother is nowhere near her. You think I'm just gonna believe that? Let me see her right now. Oh, you do realize that the least trustworthy person here is you, right? Brother or not, you committed domestic violence. Little Midori was quite terrified. Merely seeing your face might bring up bad memories. Anyway, I will come again tomorrow. Let me see Midori. 199. 200. The way Kikuchi Ryou was focused on nothing but exercise made him look like an actual prisoner. He walked over to the refrigerator, grabbed some mineral water. Phew, now for the push-ups. He sure doesn't look like he has much to do. 199, 200. Fat for me. Can you imagine? I can't. I figure I could do an okay amount of push-ups. I think probably 20, like 30 maybe if I really was pushing myself. 200 though. That's insane, especially if it's all in sequence, no breaks. It hurts to look at him. Oh yeah. Oh? Kikuchi reached into his bag and took out a letter. It was the one he'd received from Suo. I ended up not giving him a reply. I didn't even have time to tell him about this. I wonder if he's still waiting for me. Forget it. It's like he'd meet up with someone like me again. He went and crushed the nice-looking letter in his hand. And even if we did meet, I'd probably be unable to look him in the eye. Ryou imagined those pure eyes filling it with rejection and dread, then shook his head. He lost his trust, kindness. And he got exchanged with a mystery man who'd given him warmth in the past and went on to vanish. Huh. What a bother. He covered his face with bony hands as the evening sun shone through the window and onto his back. No changes today either, huh? A day passed, and Kikuchi Ryo continued exercising like it had become routine. He showed no intention of looking for a way to escape, almost as if he knew how meaningless it was. But as he did his thing, he couldn't help but think about his crumpled up letter from Suo. Shoot. I should just tear it up and tear up this pretty little envelope that he must have gotten from a specialty shop, Ryo thought. Would he feel better if he tore it up? He shut his eyes tight. But instead of spilling the paper, he opened it. Ryo, thank you for your letter. You said you're jealous of me, when in truth, I'm the one who looks up to you. Huh. Feeling a piercing pain in his chest, Ryo continued reading. You woke me up and helped me at the sea a whole 2 times now. You're an amazing person. I'm sure you're far greater than you believe yourself to be. But I know you don't realize it yourself. I mean, just look where I ended up. I want you to remember this much, though. No matter what you say, I'll always believe in your noble kindness. He's forceful even in text, huh? P.S. I still can't forget the taste of the donut you shared with me. Let's go to the sea and eat more donuts like that sometime. I want to know what the whole one is like. He sure is cheeky. He put more strength into his hands holding the letter. I'd love some donuts too. Feeling like he'd seen a smile for the first time in a while, I couldn't help but break into a smile myself. I'm glad those two are doing their letter exchange. What are you writing? Samejima Satoru quite enjoyed coming to this apartment and being hit with a glare that could kill. Kikuchi Ryo's gaze was abnormally sharp. It carried a heat that brought excitement back into him from the day he returned from work. This day, however, the glare never came, which he found lacking. He took a look and saw Kikuchi Ryo facing the desk. Not telling. As though expecting Samejima's question, the boy made a distance between them. I see. Want to confiscate it? Do you want me to proofread it or something? Sadly, I have no interest in correcting your ideals. Despite saying that, Samejima continued staring at Kikuchi Ryo. After a while, Ryu stopped writing. His side profile was the unique expression of a person pondering how best to express himself. Samejima found it familiar. You're quite like him. Like the children's writers I came to know in the pink house, he thought. Kikuchi Ryo pretended not to hear it. When will we get to meet again? Oh, is that what you want? Of course, she's my precious sister. Oh, so that's who you had in mind. Kikuchi Ryo quickly gave up on getting an answer and returned his gaze to the letter. Samejima wanted to see his name written in this edgy writing. Should I pass it on? Huh? The letter to Suo Kato, I mean. Why would you... I've been acquainted with him for quite a while. He's my boss's son. And you expect me to believe that? You're free to believe what you want, but I may even bring you his response. Well, doesn't mean I believe you, but... Thank you. The smile grew on Samejima's face The smile growing on Samejima's face contained trust like Kikuchi Ryo had never seen. Hello. Starting today, your house arrest is officially over. Huh? The first thing Samejima told him the day left Ryu speechless. Let's celebrate your release with a visit to the amusement park. What about the letter? Well, not like I expect much from you, but start by taking me to Midori. Kikuchi Midori is there as well. A celebration must be fun after all. What's the catch? Kato and Osamu are there as well. Why? Samejima's smile grew wider. You wish to see them? No. I get Osamu, but Suo has nothing to do with this. He most certainly does. What do you mean? You will find out when you get there tomorrow, and do try to enjoy yourself. I will be watching.
Ryou!
Midori, were you eating well? You weren't scared, were you?
I was just fine. What about you?
Yeah, I'm fine too. His days were full of stress and he could barely bring himself to eat. However, Midori's warmth completely dispersed his pent-up irritation. Midori, now in his arms, he was far better state than he'd expected.
Osamu, over here!
Again, it's Uncle Osamu. Oh. Osamu? Well, I'm glad you look fine. Enjoy your day, will ya? Were you the one who looked after her?
I visited the facility once or twice.
Anyway, you hungry? I'll buy you something.
I want some...
There we go.
I want some ice cream.
What? This cold? Well, don't blame me if it makes your tummy hurt. Chatting, the two walked off toward the stand. The fact that Midori was so close to him made Ryou feel somewhat excluded. She's just fine without me, huh? As he made a dejected sigh, he heard some energetic footsteps coming up from behind him.
Ryou!
So, whoa!
I was worried sick. I was so glad you're okay. I really am.
You're exaggerating. You are quite well suited for amusement parks, Kaito.
Mr. Samejima, thank you for inviting me.
That goes for you too, Ryou.
Yay, Kato's here. Wanna have some ice cream?
That does look good.
Maybe I'll have some.
I did say you wouldn't be able to eat it all. Oh. Well, at least you have someone who doesn't mind eating it at the excess.
Hello?
What a tangled mess. The 5 people gathered in this clouded amusement park were a strange group.
Let's have some fun, Ryou. Well, we're all here to cheer you up.
Alright. The cheery music all around created a light dissonance. Let's go, Kaito. Time tends to fly when you're having fun.
You're right.
Colorful lights decorations illuminated their backs, further emphasizing the strange atmosphere. However, they were still able to enjoy their time.
Osamu, again! Let's go again!
Hell yeah, that wasn't nearly enough. Let's take the front this time. Midori and Arasagawa went to the roller coaster multiple times. I love high places. Samejima went on a high bike ride by himself. Such carefree people, I feel embarrassed for expecting something. I breathed heavily. Then I shifted my gaze to my friends who'd finally met again.
I brought some warm tea. Have some.
Thanks. You came prepared, huh? Kikuchi, Ryou, and Suo Kato were taking a break on a bench.
I was looking forward to this, so yeah. I even have some hand warmers. They should be a bit deeper in.
Oh.
Ah.
A bundle of papers fell out of the bag. I'll get them. Are all these letters? Kikuchi Ryou widened his eyes when he saw Kaito's large body as he hid his face in embarrassment.
I got the reply from Mr. Samejima.
So he actually gave it to you.
But I wasn't sure how to respond, so I figured I'd write multiple replies and pick the best one.
I also wrote a letter for you, even though I never got your response.
Really?
Just one, though. Kaito wagged his invisible tail as if it was all he'd been waiting for.
Wow, thank you so much.
Yeah, he's just Labrador Retriever energy all over. Have you been getting enough sleep?
Not really.
Promise me you will from now on, okay?
Sure, I'll get some takoyaki.
Kaito smiled and ran off. Left by himself, Kikuchi waited for Kaito to disappear from sight, then he took out a letter he just got. Sorry, Suo. Unlike you, I'm not the type who can wait.
Ryou?
His handwriting sure seemed pretty. It was something straight out of a textbook. Was he working on his penmanship? Ryou wondered.
I remember the morning I found you next to me. I'm really sorry for what I said back then. Did I seem like a rude young boy to you?
That's painfully similar to how I feel, Ryou thought.
I'm still very glad you met me with a smile back then. Ryou, our apple pie looked really good, so I got it too, and... Wait, why are you reading the letter?
Hey, Suo.
Yes?
Will you continue writing letters to me no matter what kind of person I am? Ryou knew how unfair the question was.
Of course.
It wasn't exactly nice to make him promise something without knowing all the details. It wasn't like him to put up an insurance in case Suo began rejecting him. I see. Even so, though, it may have been brief. Suo's words gave Kikuchi Ryou some peace of mind. Midori, are you sleepy?
All that playing must have been tiring. Alright, I'll carry
you around. Don't worry, I'll do it. Aren't you just as tired? But...
What, you want me to carry you as well?
No, forget it.
Just tell me when you get sleepy.
What's wrong? Are you tired too, Kaido?
Oh no, I'm not.
I wonder if my frail arms can carry you.
I'm not tired, okay?
This was a mirror house, but Suo was walking around while looking at his feet. He wanted to overwrite his current emotional state with fun memories.
Right, I want to go to the Ferris wheel. The view from should be exceptional in the evening. Huh? Ryou? Samejima?
He looked around but couldn't see anything besides his own reflections. Ferris wheels are way too slow. Let's go on the merry-go-round instead.
Huh?
Come on, Suo Kaido, don't be a stranger. Still carrying the now asleep Midori, Arasagawa widened the smile behind his glasses. His face, as he did, was reflected by countless mirrors. And that's where they separate. And this is where it comes up. The music. Oh, the music. Quiet. In a corner behind the wall of mirrors, Kikuchi Ryou had his mouth shut by Samejima's large hand. Don't make too much noise. Remember who's with Kikuchi Midori right now. Are we clear? I'll let you talk now. You planned this. You're with Osamu. Absolutely not. I would appreciate not being grouped together with him. Suddenly, Satoru pouted like a child and cleared his throat, switched back to his usual self. I don't intend to hurt you. I only wish to talk. He grabbed Kikuchi Ryou's arm so gently it was almost uncomfortable. I like Ferris wheels. Would you ride it with me? He then pulled Ryou by the wrist, taking him to the entrance. Let's go, Ryou. Kikuchi Ryou had no choice but to go along with him. Ferris wheels really are nice, so cozy and lovely. Make some space, our knees are gonna touch. I'm sorry, my legs are quite long. Samejima then crossed his legs, closing the distance between their knees even further. With a metallic sound, the cabin began making a circle. It soon left the ground. They reached a height that would kill a person instantly should they fall out. There was nowhere to run. Look around. The city's so distant, looking down at it makes it seem almost artificial. Kikuchi Ryou was in no state to enjoy the view. This is so nostalgic. Have you finally remembered? Oh boy, here we go. There was a time limit to torturous existence, as the Ferris wheel would make its turn in 10 odd minutes. All Ryou had to do was keep quiet and put up with it. The cabin shook violently and the Ferris wheel came to a halt. As Ryou's heart accelerated, an announcer let them know that there was some sort of trouble. Oh dear. The oxygen in the air immediately felt heavy and difficult to breathe. He inhaled as hard as he could, but didn't make the breathing any easier. He couldn't open the window either. All he could do was endure the shaking while gulping down saliva. Are you okay? Stop making it sound like this isn't your fault. My, how scary. This happened at the perfect time. Now I can finally talk to you like myself. Within that unstable cabin, Samejima Satoru slowly stood up. Oh my gosh. Holy crap. The metallic ceiling made a disquieting sound. Hey, the hell are you? I'm sorry. Just wanted to see you from up close. Ryou felt barely alive as the ground itself had been pulled from under him. His large bent body and long arms placed him in a twofold trap. You cannot escape now. Ryou wanted to shout that he knew it all too well. I will have you remember what happened in 2003. He wanted to run. I will tell you about the Mamiya within you. But he wasn't allowed to run. Papa Altes. Year of his death, 2003. Now, this is something I'm really curious about. I want to know how Ryou got sucked into that whole situation. The nail that sticks out gets hammered in, but stick out enough and it becomes the standard. That's what I'd finally realized. Odd as it was, after eating Mamiya's flesh that day, I acquired a leading position in my department. Everyone said that I'd wanted to become like Superintendent Samejima, that he had charisma. Charisma was at its core a silent charm that common people lacked. We are creatures biologically attracted to things we do not have. That is what I gained from that day's madness. That was it. I decided to curse society, but thanks to Mamiya, I was able to adjust to it and keep it in the palm of my hand. Such irony. Looking back, there was plenty of that ever since I'd met Mamiya. Was everything that happened caused by the karma surrounding Mamiya? Perhaps, and this particular memory was no different. A body had been found at a construction site. It belonged to Masaki Hashida, a 64-year-old factory worker. I see, and the first witness is... It's... a child. The moment Satoru saw the child, Kikuchi Ryou, his muscle tensed up. As he observed him and their eyes met, Satoru was assaulted by an intense feeling of deja vu. It was the second time. Twice now have different sensations touched him simultaneously. He'd used the senses for anything off to solve the case many times before now. However, this was the first time he'd felt two off feelings with different causes from the same person. And it was just a boy. Satoru realized that he was feeling something personal, something unrelated to the case about this child. He felt like he'd realized what it was, otherwise he'd regret it for the rest of his life. The rest of his life. Mamiya? He didn't know what he was saying. After all, Mamiya had returned to the Trichiliocosm. You know Mamiya? The question made his heart freeze over. I do, yes. What is your relationship with Mamiya? Satoru kept himself in control. This could have easily been a name of a friend at school. Mamiya is someone important to me. A sweet metallic sound could be heard from under the collar of the boy's somewhat oversized clothes. Mamiya helped me. This nostalgic atmosphere was familiar to Satoru. He could almost smell the air of the house where they shared their memories of Mamiya in 1999. Yes, I know Mamiya too. No good. Satoru recognized that this feeling was no good. Oh, that's right, that's what Mamiya looked like to him. Interesting. Satoru. There was no way he could see Mamiya in this child. Thank you for your cooperation, Kikuchi Ryou. Are you tired? I'm okay. After questioning the boy and taking his fingerprints, just in case, Samejima gave him some apple juice. This boy was odd one. Despite finding a corpse, he'd remained calm and reported it, seemed unaffected even now. There were no signs that he cried, nor tells of any acute stress disorder. Then again, perhaps he wasn't showing any symptoms due to being in a state of shock. Satoru felt he had to see how this would progress and treat him accordingly. I've contacted your address several times now, but there appears to be no one home just yet. That's fine. It was likely his child was being subjected to something close to domestic violence. You don't have to tell her about this. If you interrupt her at her job, it's going to cause rumors and I'll get yelled at. Despite being so young, you seem to understand that if someone was questioned by the police, it could lead to people gossiping about it. The proof was in the fact that he was talking quietly and hiding his wounds. I see. Anyway, here's your reward as the first witness. Normally I'd give this to your guardian, but they're not here. It has to go to you. It was just a few thousand yen, but that was a lot to a child his age. As a first rule, first witnesses have to be visited several times following their initial report. Would you mind meeting again? As long as you don't come back to my house. Are you familiar with the shrine grounds? I propose we meet there next weekend. Kikuchi Ryou nodded. And we should continue our talk about Mamiya as well. Huh? A shine in his eyes gave Satoru his first heartache in a while. Oh yes. The moment he came back home, Satoru collapsed on the sofa and took a deep breath. Mamiya is back. Many days had passed since then they ate the flesh and swore to raise new Mamiya. He was the one unable to find the child he could turn into Mamiya. No doubt, because unlike theirs, my Mamiya had the appearance of a child. It wasn't that he didn't have any motivation or investment. He simply couldn't find a child worthy of being his Mamiya. But that one, Kikuchi Ryou, he is Mamiya, without me having to instill Mamiya in him. Samejima urge to kill has subsided after he consumed Mamiya's flesh. He was satisfied with just having his dear Mamiya inside him. Rabbits, 3 of them. Perhaps they kept on the grounds. Do you know that rabbits are counted as birds sometimes? Birds? Yes, indeed. Why? They don't have feathers or anything. Indeed they don't. Apparently in the past, monks at the temples couldn't eat beast meat. That's why they decided the rabbits are birds and ate them, or so the theory goes anyway. They ate rabbits? How sad. You eat cows and pigs yourself, don't you? Why do you feel that way about rabbits? You're right. I wonder. Because they're cute? How strange. For all you know, the rabbits may want you to eat them. Huh? There's a story that goes like this. A long, long time ago, there was a rabbit, a fox, and a monkey. One day, the 3 were gathering food for a tired elder. The monkey brought a fruit, the fox brought a fish, but the rabbit didn't bring anything. That was when the rabbit said, "Eat me," and jumped into the fire, giving itself to the elder. The white rabbit went past Samejima right as he finished the story. It's a moving tale. The creature burned itself for the sake of letting the elder live. It would have died if it didn't feel like saving the elder. No, the rabbit had no other choice. If it didn't help the elder, it would have regretted it for the rest of its life. Is that worse than death? Most likely. Kikuchi Ryou balled his small hands into fists and stopped talking. Satoru felt that he might have scared him a little and tried to make it better. There's a continuation to the story that says that the elder was actually a god. The god took pity on the rabbit and put his image on the moon as an example for everyone else. That's why there's a rabbit living on the moon. So the rabbit was happy because it regretted nothing and could become an example to others? I think so, yes. I believe this rabbit is a lot like Mamiya. He also compared himself to the moon quite often. He looked up at the moon in the pale sky. The lunar sea that was said to look like a rabbit had melted into the blue atmosphere and the outline was vague. Mamiya's the monkey that gave the fruit. He's alive and always there. The boy put his hand on his chest and causing the chain to peek through his clothes, the gleaming shine. That's a nice accessory you have there. I got it from Mamiya. Can I have a look at it? It must have made him happy to be able to show it off. Ryou removed his necklace with a smile on his face. This is the dog tag. It was a simple one. The only text carved onto it was Ryou. Satoru felt like he'd seen something like this before. Mamiya had one, and when I said I liked it, he made one for me too. A strange premonition hit Satoru like a bolt of lightning. He suddenly had trouble breathing. Satoru? Was this child actually Mamiya because someone had already turned him into a Mamiya? Could you let me meet your Mamiya? Mamiya! Oh, baby. Oh, Ryou, you said you wanted to meet someone. Oh, yes. I indeed know your Mamiya, Ryou. The 3 headed to a nearby park in complete silence. 2 adult men and a child. What would onlookers think when they saw them? This was Satoru's first time meeting Arasagawa since that day. The swamp-like taste of the years 1999 and 2000 spread across his mouth.
Mamiya!
Try not to trip. He had aged since their last encounter. No. Arasagawa had become an adult you could rely on like a father. I didn't expect to meet you through Ryou. It's like that time Mamiya pulled us under Tokyo Tower. Mamiya. So you really are the one who instilled Mamiya in Ryou. Kikuchi Ryou was playing with sand in an abandoned piece of playground equipment. I was quite surprised. You see, when I looked into Kikuchi Ryou, I felt like I saw Mamiya himself. If you are the one responsible, it would explain everything. So, you also saw Ryou as Mamiya? Yes, unmistakably. Thanks. You sound happy. Because I am. My work was conveyed as intended. Sotaro had always hated the mocking smile this man would often make. I created that Mamiya after lots and lots of polishing. Weren't you unable to write stories? After putting down my pen in 2000, I considered what that Mamiya needed. But I'm glad I got you to confirm it. If you think that's Mamiya, then Nigaki and Bach would likely feel the same way. I finally made it this far. He looked up at the windy sky. Sotaro found the expression scary. And how far are you planning to go? The man turned around and smiled with a dirty grin. Who knows? Maybe I should use Ryou as the idol of my new religion. I understand now that the child is a Mamiya you created. Excuse me. However, back when I looked at him, I felt there was another thing off about him. It was a common type of deja vu unrelated to any yearning. It was about the dog tag Kikuchi Ryou showed off. He is similar to the youth I'd met in Kato's house in 1999. In December of 1999, he left to take care of his boss's son. Mamiya had vanished shortly after that, so Satoru's memories of him weren't particularly vivid. Please help Suo. Suo Kato was a sleepwalker. I can't protect him. That man shaking desperately as he pled, wasn't that Kikuchi Ryou himself? Due to his particular line of work, Sotaro was not one to mistake people for others. Normally, one would assume that they were siblings or parent and child, and yet he couldn't bring himself to dismiss the possibility they were the same person. But then, who is that child? The Count of St. Guillermin, who had appeared in various times? That just makes him seem more like Mamiya. As he reclined on the sofa, he was overtaken by a mix of wonder and curiosity. How would Kaito react if he saw him? I haven't talked to him since he told me he brought a new phone. Look, Mr. Samejima, I finally got a phone. Let's exchange numbers then. I can even send you mail. Would it interest you if I told you about this? No, this is not good. Showing that child to him could make his sleepwalking flare up again. Or maybe I'm worrying too much. A lot of things happened today. I should go to sleep. Sotaro hoped he could meet Mamiya again in his dreams. I don't need dreams. I can already meet him anytime I want. Mamiya exists in this world as Kikuchi Ryou. Knowing that Kikuchi Ryou was a Mamiya created by Arasagawa Osamu, Sotaro couldn't keep himself from wanting to meet him. Thus, he insisted they continue meeting at the shrine grounds on his days off. Talking to him made Sotaro miss that honeymoon period from the end of the century. It almost made him wish that this boy too was immortal. One rabbit. He could pierce the heart of the blade, tear his limbs off. Two rabbits. He could close his screaming mouth as he drowned him in a bath. 3 rabbits. Sotaro? Yes. You were spacing out. Oh, I was just looking at the dried leaves. What am I thinking? Sotaro thought. Remember, your pride is someone who plays by the rules. Still, if all his wishes could come true. No. I will surely go back to normal once I meet Kaito. Yeah, I remember now. That was his thing with the other Mamiya. He had an urge to kill, and the Mamiya, like, the interference was like, he eventually would give into his urge and like start killing people, and like Mamiya wanted to save him from that. So Mamiya appeared to him as a child because he was like, he would go after kids. And Mamiya appeared to him as a child and said, hey, you can kill me instead and get rid of that urge. And that was like what had happened, is Mamiya became a scapegoat for his urge, but now it's going to make him want to target Ryou. Oh, fetch me. That's terrifying. He took out the phone he kept for private calls and clicked his name in the contact list. Perhaps he had a lecture he couldn't answer. Just as Sotsuru was thinking of leaving a message. Hello? And a pit opened in his stomach. You're not Kaido, are you? Did he have the wrong number, or did it belong to someone else now? Sotsuru hoped, begged that was the case, but... Ed? Huh. There was only one person in the world who called him by that crude name. Arasugawa. He remained calm, putting on a businesslike demeanor. What happened to Kato? And he hoped this was unrelated. Hey, Ed. Tell me. He tried to keep his cool, restraining his emotions. Is Ryou a proper Mamiya? Why would he ask that now of all times? Is it pleasant to be with him? Is it pleasant to be with him? I felt as though I could read his mind, but how? Just put Kato on the phone or tell me if he's alright. Good to know. Good to know what? Sotsuru had no idea what was happening there. Suo's with me. His life is in my hands. He's my hostage, basically. Get it? I failed. He's far more composed than I am, Sotsuru thought. What do you want? First, there's something I gotta confirm. Who's more important to you, Suo or Mamiya? Why would he ask that? He thought of the young man with a bright smile and that dancing sky blue hair. He was like a mythical creature you could trust with your last ray of hope. Sotsuru placed him on the side of the scale and the grand moon on the other. Mamiya, shouldn't that be obvious? Yeah, I suppose it is. Suo wasn't enough to outweigh it. I'll give you a location. I want you to come here immediately, and don't tell anyone else about this. Very well. Pure madness, along with a shadow he'd sworn never to fall on him again, began to overtake him. Kato, you're... Upon seeing the youth all covered in bruises and unconscious, the usual poker-faced man panicked. What have you done again? What do you have against him? The sheer gall to even ask that. Aren't you the one who secretly told him about Mamiya? Mamiya? You know the relationship between him and Kikuchi Ryou? Huh? No, Ryu's got nothing to do with... What are you talking about? I feel like we've never really had a proper conversation in 1999. Looks like in 2003 we'll have to face each other and talk. The two briefly shared their thoughts. This is such bullcrap. This is layered structure supposed to be our sin and punishment? I had no choice but to remain silent and watch things unfold. This was a recollection, neither 1999 or 2012, and I had no means of intervening as a spectator. The karma surrounding them was far too complex. Call me Mamiya. Arasugawa Osamu installed his Mamiya in Kikuchi Ryou. I see hope in you. Samejima Sotsuru found a selfish peace in Suo Kato's existence. Mamiya is mine. Arasugawa Osamu was unable to tolerate Suo Kato, who knew Mamiya other than the ones he'd created. But then, who is that child? Samejima Sotsuru, who believed that the youth who'd appeared next to Suo Kato in 1999 was Kikuchi Ryou. The warped gears of fate splotted into place and began making satisfying sound as they moved. There we are again. What do you intend to do? Samejima looked down at the sky blue hair of the bloodied, unconscious youth. He didn't show up, but he was doing the next best thing to keep himself from crying. Even this was all predestined. The flesh beyond the flowing blood invited the inhabitants of the pink house. Do we still have the house you can see Tokyo Tower from? No, I already sold it. But I brought a villa in the mountains. It's quiet and has soundproofing. Why are you asking that? Why are you asking that? There's nothing to gain from having him anymore. There was no stopping them. What do you mean? This ain't nearly enough. He still didn't say anything I wanted to hear. I won't let him get away. And you will use my house for it. You like sharing your places, don't you? Especially if it's for it's four of us. The cells were yearning. You should live there too, with Kikuchi Ryou, I mean. You want a life like before, and you want it bad, don't you? He saw right through him. He was seeing right through. No one could escape the truths. It all converged upon this conclusion. Oh, I hate you so much. What a coincidence. Me too. The first thing Suokato saw upon waking up was the dusty floor. When he took a breath, the sandy air made him scowl.
Where is this?
When he tried to move, he realized his arms and leg were bound. Before he could fully understand the situation, he saw the shoes belonging to the author who he respected, Arisugawa. Hey there, see you're awake.
Mr. Arisugawa, why are you doing this?
Don't worry, I'll let you go right away. All you gotta do is say one thing. Pretty simple, huh? Just say you have nothing to do with Mamiya.
Huh? Wait, but Mamiya's a close friend I've known for a long time. He's very important to...
Before he could finish, the sole of the shoe was in his head.
That's not right, is it? You didn't know anything about Mamiya, right?
No, This time he was kicked in the back of his thigh, sending him flying and hurting so much his throat became stiff. If I decide to do something, I see it through to the end. I'll keep this until you correct yourself. I won't stop, even if you stop breathing. Poor thing, you must be thirsty. Let's get you some water. Alright. I think we're going to stop here because, again, this is going to be the slow build-up to Kikuchi Ryou's fall and twisting. We've seen a lot of this, but it was from Suo's perspective, so it is really interesting to see it from the other side. I'm thinking we're going to learn a lot more about what Ryou's been going through the training for the violence, but I really wonder, if Arisugawa wanted to make him a Mamiya, why go through all the training to become a vicious attacker and bloodthirsty killer? It makes Ryou be who he is in the story, so it's very clear that it was intentionally done. But why? Why is that tied to Mamiya for Arisugawa? I thought Arisugawa's Mamiya was very benign, very much more about an encouraging source. Now Samejima's was obviously very twisted and kind of warped around by violence, but he's not the one that selected or bonded with Kikuchi Ryou. So it's just interesting. Very interesting. But it's all fun. Thank you so much for being here today. Hope you enjoyed yourself. I certainly did. The story is very disturbing, as usual, but it's nice to be able to continue it and maybe see it through all the way to the end. And yeah, we got a few more paths, but I'm guessing if it's like the Suo route, that we might be able to get to the end of this route by the next part. So that'll be interesting. And then we'll get to the side that I'm most excited for. The Minata and, oh, what's his name? Gosh darn it, the tall guy with the spiky hair. I'll remember it, I'm sure, when we get to that. But those two, they're also oddly entwined. And I wonder if they're going to explore how they're entwined a lot more. Or if it's mostly, because in their stories it was less specific. It was more like they were passing characters in each other's stories for the majority. But I wonder if it'll be kind of more embellished in when we see their stuff. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel and for being a part of it. Thank you for the supporters, for patrons and members. Your support means the world to me. I really appreciate it. And, I just want to do my best to make the best channel I can. So thank you for everything. Thank you for your patience, especially as I'm working again. It's definitely affecting things a little bit, and hopefully not too badly, but I really do appreciate you all. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel. Until next video you see me in next, or whatever you see me in next, I'll see you there.